3rd, 2021, Gadgets Nate week in review and previews. So how did I do on last week's goals? Well, I think I did pretty well. I got all the countdown to the moon stuff taken care of. I marketed North Houston Space Society meeting that's coming up. I finished reading Notes from Underground by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I also exercised 7 days on the tonal, ran 3 days this week. No coffee, no tea, which I gotta tell you, I think it was something I want to keep up. Actually feel a little bit better and more energetic overall and get more out of life without having that rush of coffee and the need to constantly caffeinate. It doesn't do some good after a while. And anyway, I think it's better for me. Enjoying my last days of vacation, which I did. Oh, you might be wondering, why do I have this little moonlander here? Well, that's all about this micro SD card. And the kind of interesting thing is I needed to take my Countdown to the Moon website with the embedded YouTube videos and put them on micro SD card. I wasn't quite sure how to do it. I tweeted, hey, can somebody help me? Anybody have some suggestions? Somebody actually wrote a script that I'm running that's actually downloading my site and all the embedded YouTube videos. Really cool to get some help from the community out there. 7 Countdown to the Moon interviews this week. Aaron, which is a friend of Mark Shields, who I went to college with. Vaishnav, who's a friend of ours for a long time. He actually has a nonprofit that's looking at taking high school students and middle school students and getting them, and college students, and getting them engaged in the community, solving community problems. It's really neat. Chris, I actually sold a house to back at the time whenever I was a real estate agent. He is now the director of information systems over there at Klein ISD. James is my nephew. Britt is doing Celestial Citizen, which is taking principles from urban planning and applying them to space exploration development, taking all the great things we learn in space exploration development and trying to apply it back to how we design cities down here. Dennis is a friend from high school, and he is actually working on a system, a position, navigation, and timing system that could be used by the Army should something happen to GPS. And Sam is a fellow space insider. He does writing. He's a mechanical engineer. Really great guy to talk to. I look forward. I've ordered his book. You're going to see that come up as one of my goals one of these weeks soon. Sam is a fellow Space Hero insider, and Space Hero is a worldwide reality TV show contest, and the winner of which will get to go to the International Space Station for 10 days. It's really seems like a phenomenal program to be a part of. I recommend going to spacehero.me and sign up for their email list. And if you're really into it, go ahead and submit an application for the Space Insiders program. Now, one thing I've continued to do this week is look at the interviews from a year ago. So I watched Salmat's interview and brought up some comments on GadgetNate.com. Maggie, I interviewed on my birthday last year. It was really neat to interview her again, or to watch that interview. Como, Sue, my mom, Marie, and Kennedy. One thing that kind of came up from these interviews is people do not understand why we are going back to the moon. Didn't we already do that? What are we going to get out of it? And this is kind of a mission of mine, is to kind of create this idea that humanity needs to expand beyond the Earth, and that the moon is the natural step in that progression. Now, if people understand that vision, going to the moon makes sense. Now, if you're just going to moon to check off some first, it's not going to make sense for the investment that we're doing. And it might be one of those things that a few people who believe in the vision actually go and make happen. People see it, and then people just think it was an inevitable thing that would happen. So it's going to be a challenge. I marketed the January 9th North Houston Space Society meeting on Facebook, on Twitter, on Meetup, on LinkedIn, sent out emails, so everybody should know about the meeting. This week, I'll continue to reemphasize it as I can. 7 days on the tonal. The tonal took about a month for Stephen to convince us to buy. It took about 2 or 3 months for them to actually deliver and install it. But I can tell you, it's everything that we hope it would be. I feel like that I'm going to really be a lot more fit. I feel like my sons are going to be more fit. My family is going to be more fit. I'm really looking forward to making the tonal a part of my weekly exercise regimen. I ran 3 days this week. Monday was the first time I had ran for a long time. I mean, it had to be months. And whenever I set the goal of doing less than 12 minutes per mile, I said, that is just like really high. I'm giving myself a lot of space. But at the end of that 3 miles, close to the end of that 3 miles, it was like 12:09. I was like, oh my goodness. And I kicked it into gear, started bringing down that average time, 12:07, 12:06, 12:05, 12:04, 12:01. And finally, by the time I got to the 0.08 miles after the 3 miles, got it down to 11:58, met my goal. And I was like, phew. Wednesday, much better. I kept an eye on the pace, throughout the run, um, 11 minutes and 18 seconds. On Saturday, either it was using the tonal, the running from the couple of days before, the fact that it was cold, good night's sleep. I'm not sure, but I was able to do 10 minutes and 46 seconds, which I was like, whoa, that is really amazing. Okay, I had my 45th birthday celebration and it was fantastic. It's going to be hard to top these guys. My wife had me close my eyes and led me to the front yard. I had no idea what she was going to show me. For a brief second, I was like, Tesla? But, I wasn't sure. But it turned out to be a yard card, which was amazing. I love the yard card. And we had some friends and family over. We tried to do the social distancing, wearing masks, doing it in the outdoors, try to be safe. Also, Nikita, oh my gosh, Nikita put together an amazing gift. She reached out to my wife, my sons, my in-laws, my sister, my mom and dad, and had them send her reasons about why I'm great, which seems amazing that they all were able to come up with so many reasons so quick. And she created a page for each one and created a little drawing, and it is just amazing. I think this is going to be one of my most treasured possessions in terms of a birthday gift. I just, it's just fantastic. I wish I could put every single page up here. So what's coming up this week? My gosh, work is starting on Monday, and I really have to be time disciplined. There are 168 hours in a week. What are we going to do with them? Well, I think the first thing we're going to do is keep some in the reserve for all those unexpected things, miscellaneous activities, and what have you. 10% of the time, 17 hours for a buffer. Sleep, 56 hours, eating 12 hours, exercising 5 hours. So I got to run 3 miles and do 3 tonals in 5 hours. Let's see how that goes. Countdown to the moon, interviewing, reviewing the interviews from last year and writing up a little bit something, hoping to keep it under 11 hours. It should be possible. I mean, at this time last year, I was interviewing people on the street, people at the stores, what have you. A lot of those interviews were really short, minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I should be able to watch them and write up something. Work, I want to always keep between 40 and 45 hours. It's very easy to really let work take over your life. Really, 45 hours should be enough to get everything work wise done if I'm actually working those 45 hours. That's the key thing. Reading, I'm going to be reading The Worldly Philosophers by Robert L. Hellbroner. It has Adam Smith, Thomas Robert Malthus, John Stuart Mills, Henry George, Karl Marx, John Maynard Keynes. I wanted to read the whole book before the end of the week, but I just did the time. It takes me a little less than 2 minutes per page, and that turns out to be about closer to 14 hours than 7 hours for the entire book. But I could read half of it. Let's do half of it this week, right? 170 pages. Now, putting together the summary, actually, it's taken a lot more time today than I thought. That's probably about the sixth or seventh time that I recorded it. I won't go into the details there, but let's set aside 3 hours for that. And then that sensor monitoring project, I have a friend that wants to do an Internet of Things project, and I'm going to spend 5 hours this week kind of researching and seeing what's available, what I want to do in terms of helping him. Personal hygiene, I mean, we're talking about showers and brushing the teeth, 3 hours per week. And the North Houston Space Society, 2.5 hours for the Saturday's meeting, and then another 1.5 hour or so throughout the week to prepare for it. Going to put together a little presentation in terms of, um, the history of the club. This is going to be our 4th year. We're just starting. Amazing, isn't it? Right? I mean, this would be our 36th meeting this coming January. We missed only one meeting 1 month over the past 3 years. So that's how I got there. So to kind of break down those goals a little bit more, you know, we're going to be promoting the meeting some more on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, what have you. 7 interviews and 7 reflections for Countdown to the Moon. Personal goals, extreme time management and discipline. 168 hours, where they go, I should know. Um, 3 days I'm running, 3 miles. I've took the maximum time down 5 seconds. Surely I could beat that. I used the tonal 3 days. Like I said, read this book, half of it, explore and other things. So anyway, it's going to be an awesome week. Really looking forward to it, and we'll talk more next week.